Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Katie and this is Catherine the 19th, the channel where we love to talk all things filmmaking and travel. In today's video, I'm giving you my best tips for building your travel camera gear. At this point, I've done a number of trips and I have documented them all in video because it's something that I love to do. Like, one of my favorite things about YouTube is having this excuse to film everything and then being able to go back later and watch all these lovely memories from trips gone by. I have filmed road trips. I have filmed trips where I've been kind of traveling by myself. I've filmed trips traveling with friends. So at this point, I have a little bit of advice to give you on what kind of camera gear you're going to want to bring along on your next trip. The first tip, and probably the most important, is to keep it small. Keep it minimalist. You are gonna thank yourself for this later because I have done everything from bring literally every piece of camera equipment I own to bringing only my point and shoot along on a trip, and it's a lot easier when you have less to take with you. In general, when it comes to travel, it's great to pack light because you don't want to be leaving all this stuff sitting around, potentially forgetting some of your most expensive items, behind in an Airbnb. So the less camera gear that you have with you, the less risk there is of you leaving some of it behind. The next tip that I have for you is to think about challenging yourself creatively. I think being in a new place when you're traveling is really awesome for gaining a new perspective on your photography or your videography, and the gear that you bring along with you can also have that effect. So one example and one challenge that I think that you should really consider taking on is if you often depend on zoom lens or like variable focal length lenses, think about only bringing prime lenses on your next trip so that you have to actually physically move yourself to get the composition of the shot that you're looking for. This can definitely improve your photography or videography skills because it really forces you to be a physical part of the production of your video. Also, prime lenses tend to have lower f-stops, which is just nice for cinematic footage in general. Another challenge you might consider is only bringing along your point and shoot, or only bringing along your DSLR, or whatever kind of combination of gear that you have, so that you force yourself to use whichever it is more often and get better at using it. On my trip to Puerto Rico, I only brought along my Sony RX100 because I wanted to try to get better at using it in a kind of artful way. I had sort of slipped into only ever using it in program auto when I was filming, and I really wanted to challenge myself to change up the aperture and all that kind of stuff that this amazing point and shoot allows you to do, but I had just kind of been not using it as much. So I decided to just go for the super lightweight, small, compact camera and really challenge myself to try to use it to the best of its ability. The third tip that I have for you in building your travel camera gear kit is try to bring along stuff that is not gonna encourage people to target you as somebody with a lot of money and a lot of expensive gear to steal. The unfortunate reality of traveling is that there are going to be places where you might get pickpocketed, or you might be holding your DSLR in one hand and somebody might bike past and grab it and be gone in 2 seconds. So it might be worth considering if you have a camera that looks older or maybe is just smaller and might look less valuable to people, to bring that one along instead. Carrying around like a Canon, 5D Mark IV or something while you're traveling the narrow streets of Europe might be a little bit risky. I will say though, like, anything can get stolen, so you kind of just have to recognize that. And if you really want to challenge yourself by getting better at using your DSLR, don't not bring it along just because it might get stolen. Like, that's the case with anything, and you want to go there and you want to take pictures. So it's not like, oh, don't bring any cameras at all because they might get stolen. But if you are a little bit concerned about that, it might be worthwhile considering how you can kind of make yourself look a little less discreet. One very simple thing that I would recommend is changing the strap that goes around your camera. So mine is just this plain black, it's attached, so it's hard to see. Mine is just this plain black fabric strap, so it doesn't scream like Canon or Nikon on it, and I feel like those are like magnets for like seeing that and being like, that's an expensive camera. So even just doing that makes it a little bit more low-key. My final travel camera gear tip for you is also another very important one and a lesson very hard to learn for me, and that is keep your gear lightweight. I have this heavy, let me show it to you. I have this heavy sucker of a lens, and it's the Sigma 17-50 f2.8 lens. I got this because I was like, oh, it's a zoom lens that has a low aperture. Mistake. I mean, I'll still use this from time to time. I used it for a long time shooting my YouTube videos until I got my 24 f2.8. But this thing, because it's a fast lens, this thing is heavy as can be. This was really hard. Like this attached to my Canon 80D, walking around the streets of New York City with just a purse over my shoulder that I was holding this in. It was not fun. Like this thing is literally like probably like 2 or 3 pounds just on its own. From that I learned, keep it lightweight, because the thing is, it's just not going to be fun traveling if you have something really heavy in your bag all the time. And it's definitely a trade-off, because you obviously want to be well prepared to take lots of cool pictures and get lots of great footage, but you also want to enjoy your trip. If you're not at the point where you are like literally being hired to go and make a travel film, this is your vacation. You want to enjoy it, so don't ruin it by carrying around crazy heavy gear that's just going to give your shoulders a workout. So those are pretty much my tips for creating your travel camera gear kit. If you want to see an example of one of the travel camera gear kits that I brought along on one of my latest trips, you can click this little button up here and go watch that. I am going to be going on a trip later this fall, so maybe if you're interested, I'll make another video of what I brought along on that specific trip. Let me know in the comments below if you have any specific questions about traveling and filmmaking and how to do it in the most efficient and fun way possible. If you found this video helpful at all, please hit that like button, and of course subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of my future videos all about filmmaking and travel. As always, I love you all. I hope you're following your dreams, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!